I have always been in favor of like really just doing whatever you have to be able to show up in the way that you want to show up.
I wish every single day I woke up super excited about lifting and jiu-jitsu, but that's just not how it is. It's very discouraging.
Sometimes the best thing you can do is to take a day off of something, but how do you prioritize them? You like doing all of them. You like to lift, you like to run, you like to be with your girl, and so it can make it difficult to try to juggle all these things all at one time.
But you don't want to get to a place where you're just like, I'm sitting down all day. I'm not doing much.
There's a bunch of different things you can do to get yourself kind of fired up and excited about things.
Because after you work out, you'll feel good. But if you're feeling kind of burnt out there and you don't have anything else, it's very easy just to revert to nothing because you don't have other options.
You hear that when somebody's like, oh, I feel guilty when I miss a day in the gym. Where do you think that guilt ultimately comes from?
All right.
You got to cook it first.
Cook it.
Get the crystals to come out? Or, yeah.
I think that's a good start to the conversation. Sorry
flavor crystals?
The crystals from the l-carnitine. I think it's kind of funny.
It's I think it's not fairly common, but it's fairly common, right? Amongst stuff that comes in vials.
Yeah, crystals in your drugs. You both. Have you guys dealt with this before? I'm new to this game.
This is first rodeo for me when it comes to liquids not being fully liquid.
Yeah.
Yeah, if something's oil-based and it crystallizes, you got to throw it away.
Oh,
You'll
really?
get hurt. But with...
what does that mean? Like, how could you get... What type of hurt?
If you inject it, it just is going to just be too much irritation. It's going to just... Yeah, it's
not supposed to be there. Like an object isn't supposed to be in that muscle tissue.
It's
like
almost like you it would feel the same if someone like injected your shoulder with a giant chunk of wood. It just sits there for like a month.
Just a big knot.
You just have this big thing sticking out of your shoulder forever.
Yo, I'm like this.
But water-based stuff, you can heat it up and get you cook it. You cook it on a spoon and then
that's what it feels like.
Guys, if you don't know what we're talking about, well, Mark's talking about drugs, like drugs. But recently we had Jake Benson, Andy Triana, right? They talked about injectable L-carnitine or their nectar, their choline carnitine, and Andrew and I just got some, and I've injected twice now. And I saw some crystals, or Andrew saw some crystals in there, so we were like, what's going on here? And it's natural, guys. Carnitine, choline, natural. But yeah.
Kind of not natural.
It
doesn't influence your hormones.
This is the thing.
It's not breaking any rules.
Yeah, it's definitely not natural, but it's not against the rules.
Yeah, like
it feels weird injecting, bro. Like I'm just like,
yeah, it's not good.
It feels weird.
People have been naturally injecting stuff for many years.
Yeah, I feel like I'm doing something bad. It feels kind of good.
That feels great. Yeah, although it does sting.
Yeah,
it does.
And you notice a little, I don't know about you guys, but you notice a little energy from it. At least that's what I feel. When I take a shot of it, I notice a little, like maybe 30 minutes or so later.
Talking about
notice a little
nectar, right?
Yeah.
I definitely sweat. I sweated a lot when I was rolling today. Like the past 2 times that I've used that and then when I rolled, I was like sweating a lot. Felt great, but like I was just like, fuck, And I woke up lighter a few days after using it too, lighter than I've been in a really long time. So they mentioned, if you're a little bit leaner, you might lean out a little bit more by using it, which is interesting in and of itself. But
it's supposed to kind of like, I guess, liberate some fat. They talk about it a lot on that particular podcast. They say it better than what we can say here because those two are some smarty pants going on, but. Yeah, I don't know. I have always been in favor of like really just doing whatever you have to be able to show up in the way that you want to show up. And so for me, it's been, I'm not against pre-workout. I'm not against stimulants. I'm not against caffeine. I'm not against kratom. I think, you need to also kind of pay attention to these things though too. Like how much of that do you want to use just to have you show up for the day? And do you want that? Do you always want to have to rely on that? And instead, maybe you can just rely on the fact that you're going to do something fun and cool that you like to do, or do you have to rely on like bumping some crazy music and getting all fired up and using nose torque and, it seems to be harder to sustain the like cranking music mindset just to keep yourself training all the time.
Mm-hmm. And on the topic of training all the time, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but like, do you remember the last time that you felt like not as, because there's waves, but not as deeply motivated to go to the gym, or just more like you just like, like you haven't been feeling it. Has that happened to you guys recently, or you guys just been good?
More recently, I've been pretty good, but sometimes when you try something new for a little while, you are like, like, cause you know, it's gonna, you kind of are familiar with the fact that there's a little bit of like hurt involved. And so it's going to take a couple weeks to kind of get over that hump. So when I first started messing with running, even though I like running, start to run more often, and then running starts to become like a thing. And then somewhere in the middle there, you get into this funk of like, I don't really want to, but you know that you want to do it. You know that you've kind of set out to do it. But you're also kind of anticipating the pain. I think the same thing can happen with something like myofascial release. Like, you know how good that is for you, but like something kind of hurts and you don't want to take, it doesn't make any sense at all. You don't want to take the 3 to 6 minutes that it could take for you to release something and to feel better, because you're like, that's going to hurt. And so you choose kind of not to do it, and you go on and carry on your day. And next thing you know, that stupid thing that was very minor got to be worse.
Yeah, I think, I've been really good lately with the introduction of jiu-jitsu. I've been, I'll say, playing it smarter, not harder lately. So like, I will have on the days I don't do jiu-jitsu, I lift, and there's been a couple times where I'm like, dude, I didn't sleep enough. I'm feeling wrecked. I'd rather put a little bit more energy into like jiu-jitsu tomorrow. So maybe today I'll go a little bit lighter, or like the sets of 4 that I was going to do, maybe I'll do sets of 3, and I don't do my final set, which is usually the heaviest and hardest. I personally have to get there though. It's sort of like, I should save it all for tomorrow. I can go in and do a little something, and I'll go in and do a little something, and then I kind of, I see how I'm feeling, and I make that agreement of saying, all right, we're doing 3 instead of 4. We're not doing the heavy set, but that means we're going to do like all of the exercises that we kind of set out to do.
Yeah, no, I dig that, because it's not the all or nothing. Like, I wish every single day I woke up raring to go and super excited about lifting and jiu-jitsu, but that's just not how it is. Like, there are many days you get up and it's just like, all right, well, we just need to go, right? And there are certain weeks where just everything just doesn't feel great. You're just like, why is this happening to
It's
me?
discouraging.
It's very discouraging, right? But I think the worst thing is, it's happened to me before too, where you just choose not to do something, and the next day you're like, fuck, it's even worse today because I didn't do something yesterday. So always the best decision is just to figure something out.
And what is it? What's your goal? Is your goal, like, if you're saying you want to lose 20 pounds, or you want to move up a rank in jiu-jitsu, or you want to be able to run further, how into it are you? I kind of like to think that way, because then it's like a challenge, rather than this like thing that I have to do. It's more like a challenge, and it sets a bar, and then I can decide how hard I want to work at it. Am I going to do the same amount as a professional runner? Someone that's making money doing it at this stage in my life? No. Like, I'm not. I don't care that much about it. I enjoy it. I have a lot of fun with it. I want to do the best that I can with it, but I'm not going to set everything else aside just to be able to run better. And I'm also not going to lift the way that I want to lift just to run better. So maybe someone can make an argument and say, hey, if you relaxed on your lifting, you would be able to run better. And even if I was to agree with that, I would say, well, I don't care because I like lifting, even if it's to some of the detriment of my running. And I would rather this process take longer for me to work through. And also, even if it means I never really reach the level that I could or should, I like lifting enough to keep that in there. So for me, I always kind of like to view it as like a challenge. How good do you want to get at this? I do want to improve a lot. I do want to make advances, but I also am willing to admit, like, I'm not I'm not so dedicated to it that I'll remove everything else.
And one thing that I noticed is like when I start to feel that way too, or when I start to feel a little bit run down, it's usually because like I've been trending down the road of like not resting enough, or like going, like you were mentioning, Andrew, going a little bit too hard, right? So we talk about sleep so much, but if it hasn't been drilled in, one of the best ways that you can kind of get yourself out of feeling like shit is to set yourself up for the next day not to feel like shit, which is actually meaning get a good night's rest, get a full good night's rest so that you wake up and you wake up feeling good. Because if you get 7 hours versus you typically get 5 hours, you're going to feel much more motivated that morning to go get things going. But if you've been perpetually under-rested, you'll have to bring about a bit more willpower and motivation to do the things that you know you got to do.
Yeah, you'll start searching for the pre-workouts, the injectable l-carnitine, all these things when you could easily just get a better night's sleep.
Power Project family, your normal shoes are making you weak. This is why I partner with Vivo Barefoot Shoes, because they have a wide toe box, they're flat, and they're flexible. So with every single step you're taking, if you're taking a 10-minute walk outside, or when you're working out in the gym, your feet are able to do what they're supposed to do in this shoe. They have tons of options for hiking, running, training in the gym, chilling and relaxing, casual shoes for if you're out on a date. You need to check them out. And Andrew, how can they get it?
Yes, that's over at vivobarefoot.com/powerproject, and you guys will receive 15% off your order automatically. Again, vivobarefoot.com/powerproject. Links to them down in the description, as well as the podcast show notes.
Better night's sleep, good nutrition. You know, nutrition is a recovery strategy that we kind of forget about sometimes. So making sure you have enough food. If you're trying to fast and like lose weight and perform better in the gym, there might be a handful of things that you're trying all at one time that might be occasionally working against you. Sometimes the best thing you can do is to take a day off of something. You know, we are kind of talking a little bit about getting into a slump and getting into a funk. But I think to advance you further, faster, you sometimes have to take the run-walk strategy that some people will use in marathon racing, half marathons, and even ultras. There's people that will still run really, really good times. There's actually people that have recorded some of the best times in ultra marathon running by using some walking strategies. And you're like, how is that possible? Well, because they're pulling back just enough to rest just enough during the activity that when they feel rested enough, they go again. And right before they get to a point where they feel overly exhausted, they do this before they get to a point of no return. They shut it back down again and they say, okay, walk. A lot of people will walk a lot of hills when it comes to like a marathon. And when I did my last half marathon here in Sacramento, there was people that walked and jogged and they beat me. And I would pass them. I would pass them and then they would pass me. I would pass them, then they'd pass me. I'm just paying attention to myself. That day was supposed to be paced at a certain pace, and I'm not fast either way, so it doesn't matter too much. But you see them pass you and you're like, how's this going to end up? You know? And a lot of them, I mean, I did beat some people, but a lot of them did end up passing me, because they have a strategy, right? And so you need to have a strategy. How can you, if you stay up too late and watch a movie with your significant other, that might be important for you. The next morning you might wake up and go, shit, man, there's no way I can make it to practice today. There's no way I can make it to the gym this morning. So you have to develop strategies that are going to allow you to recover from the things that you want to do in your life. And then you have to prioritize these things. But how do you prioritize them? You like doing all of them. You like to lift, you like to run, you like to be with your girl. And so it can make it difficult to try to juggle all these things all at one time.
Yeah, I think one thing you could do too is like, if there's a certain week or a string of weeks where for some reason getting to the gym or getting to your jiu-jitsu class or something, whatever it is, it just feels like an undertaking. At least try to get in the simple minimum things, right? So even if a week is just pretty rough, I'll still make sure to get walks in. I'll still make sure to get some type of body weight movement in. So I'll do some push-ups or some type of general movement in. I'll do my best not to overeat. So even though like I'm doing all this stuff, I'll fast so that I'm not overeating too much and gaining too much excess fat. There are things you can do on those weeks where you're feeling a bit tired that will still have you having some type of forward momentum. But you don't want to get to a place where you're just like, I'm sitting down all day, I'm not doing much, or I'm maybe I'm going to work and I'm not getting any type of steps in. You don't want to totally move backwards. If you have those minimum habits, that'll at least keep you where you are so that you can continue to move forward a little bit later.
And if you don't have those habits, what happens to you? Do you like immediately go to 260?
Not
like
immediately.
If you're not gonna,
over time.
Like
yeah.
if you're not going to move much for a couple days and you know that you're not going to be as active, do you have to be pretty strict with fasting and stuff like that? You think?
Yeah, I have to pay better attention to the food I eat. Like I'm not going to eat nearly as many carbohydrates. I'm probably going to fast a little bit more so that I don't overeat, because if I eat through the day and I'm not doing something too, I will gain weight quickly.
So I think that's a good example. Like here's a guy that everyone always wants to just say, it's genetics, right? Everyone has to have rules. We all have to have some rules, and we all have to set them. And it's important that you figure out a way to stay attached to your fitness in some way. I think, what are the things that you like to do? There's probably a handful of things that you really don't love to do. There's probably certain moves in the gym where you're like, that stupid move always kind of hurts my shoulder, or throw my lower back out every time I try that. I think you are trying to give yourself really good impressions of the stuff that it is that you're doing, so you encourage yourself to do it more often. There's a bunch of different things you can do to get yourself kind of fired up and excited about things. One is you can have a training partner. Sometimes that can be really useful.
Oh, yeah.
Another thing is you can try something new or different. Sometimes trying something new or different can cost some energy. Like if you try something completely new, like instead of going for a lift, you do yoga. Like that's like a totally different thing, but that could invigorate you and get you excited about something new and different. But maybe instead of just doing like your normal bodybuilding workout, maybe you shift to lifting a little heavier for a few weeks. Or maybe you say, I wonder, the West Side Barbell program, they do box squats and these different things. I wonder how that would feel. I'm going to try that. So you're just a little open-minded to doing something slightly different. You can also just do things where you use less rest. You're doing stuff in between sets, so it gets you breathing harder. Just anything that's like slightly different than what you're currently doing will probably be something that you will learn very quickly if you dig it or not.
I think that's pretty fucking huge, actually, because like Andrew, you have a fuck ton of options now. You have jujitsu, you have your cable machine in your garage, you have here, you have a lot of things that you're pretty proficient at. So for some reason, if jujitsu is kind of shit for some reason for you, for me too, you have gym stuff that you could do pretty easily. And I think when you only have the option of just the gym as something to use to exert yourself, because after you work out, you'll feel good. But if you're feeling kind of burnt out there and you don't have anything else, it's very easy just to revert to nothing because you don't have other options. So a fucking Bikram yoga class, learning how to do a little bit of running, jujitsu, just going to a CrossFit class, all these things can give you a lot of options because it's inevitable that there's going to be a time where you just don't feel what you're doing, or it's just not as exciting. And you're like, fuck, what do I do now?
It's a good one is a new gym.
Oh yeah.
Every once in a while, different scenery, different environment. Go to a new gym. If you're a young guy and you're single and you go to a new gym, there's also new ladies around.
Gotta be careful these days.
That's true. But you could wear sunglasses while you're working out.
There you go.
You get a good workout in, and on
Stevie Wonder.
Just as soon as you're leaving the gym, another hot girl walks in, and then now you're there for another 90 minutes, and then you're about to leave 90 minutes later, and another hot girl walks in.
I have done that before when I was younger. It's like I finished a workout, I was leaving, and
I there for like 7.5 hours.
Let me go do 2 more sets.
I was just checking to see if my car alarm was on. Boop boop. Yep, it is.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you guys, where do you think guilt comes from? Because you hear that when somebody's like, "Oh, I feel guilty when I miss a day in the gym." Where do you think that guilt ultimately comes from?
Comes from Nsima. He makes us feel bad every day. Yeah. He's a real meanie about it. I think guilt, comes from like you just recognizing that you're not doing. You told yourself you wanted to do these things, and the body keeps score. You know what you're doing. You know what you're not doing. You know when you're jerking off too much, basically, and fucking around too much. And you get kind of pissed at yourself about it. So I think that's where it comes from.
Yeah, you have expectations for yourself, right? I think we like all of us have goals, whether fitness or outside, that we want to be able to hit. And we know the things we need to do to hit those goals. But when you're not taking the actions you know you should be taking, you kind of feel like you fucked up, right? But again, if you can just make sure you do something, like just take it a day at a time or even a fucking task at a time and just do one thing. Even if it's today for one of you that's listening, like if it's today that you're feeling like shit, just try to do one thing before the day ends that you know is going to be kind of good for you, even if that thing's fucking doing a set of 10 push-ups or just going and taking a walk for 5 minutes or 10 minutes outside. Just do that one thing at least before it becomes tomorrow, because a lot of the time it's like, I'll do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and it's more of the same, you know? So get the ball rolling now if you can.
Yeah, go touch some grass. Do you think it might also come from people's identity? I'm a jiu-jitsu practitioner. I'm going to compete later this year. I didn't make it. Damn, I'm such a fraud. Do you think people maybe need to get away from identifying as a power lifter, bodybuilder, that sort of thing? At least maybe for an off day?
Yeah, I think that can happen. I also think that people, you know, we're comparing ourselves to other people. And so that's where the shame of it comes in. Like, I mean, even though you might not be thinking like that, you might not literally have it in your head that you're like, oh, I'm not as lean as that guy, so I'm going to be sad. But maybe that is kind of what's happening in the background. I would also say, like, every once in a while, you got to say, fuck your goals. Fuck them, man. Just literally just don't think about them. I know it's hard. I know it's not an easy thing to grasp, but if you've been trying to lose weight and you've been trying for like 6 months and you're not really losing weight, it's not working anyway. So just chill the fuck out on it and try to put your energy into something different. Try to put your energy into a different like metric. Like maybe you can measure your waistline. Maybe you can, instead of just weighing yourself and weighing the same and being pissy about it, maybe you can find a way to get yourself away from that for a moment. And maybe you can practice, like, this month, I would love to just see my strength go up a little bit, or I'm just going to measure my arms. Can I make my arms a little bit bigger in the next 2-3 months? I'm not saying to gain weight, and I'm not saying to say screw your diet by any means. That would be a big mistake. Still stay connected to that to some degree. But if you've been trying something and you've been unsuccessful with it, now is a good time to try to sink your teeth into trying something slightly different, and you'll probably be excited and pumped about that. And next thing you know, you'll probably make a little progress there, and then you can always go back and kind of recorrect that other goal that you had.
Yeah, banging your head against one thing for too long is so fucking frustrating. It's so fucking annoying. Like you probably experience it too, like when you're rolling with someone, right? And there's something you've been trying to do and it's just not working. And it didn't work this week either. And then next week comes and it still didn't fucking work. It's just like, maybe it's a good idea just to you know, distance yourself from that specific thing for a little bit just for now, and then come back to it. And for some reason, it'll work.
Yeah, so you don't lose your sanity, basically.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
But the identity thing you're saying is pretty interesting, because it's like, you know, I think it's been like we all have multiple identities. Like we're all a bit schizo in that way. You're a grappler, you're a father, you're a great son. You have all these qualities. You're not just one thing. You're a
porn star.
Because that big ass Congo dick you got.
Yeah,
right.
With that.
Let's go. It's like, yeah, you're a runner, you're an entrepreneur, you're a podcaster. You got all these things, man. It's like you don't have to identify with that one thing all the time. Right.
Makes sense.
Hey, Pat Broucher family, shut your mouth. No, not really, but kinda. You should keep your mouth shut when you're asleep. Now on the podcast, we've been talking about the importance of nasal breathing for years. And we've been talking about using mouth tape during your sleep for years, as it's going to help your sleep quality because you're going to be breathing through your nose. We had James Nestor, author of Why We Sleep. Actually, that was Matthew Walker, but James Nestor, author of Breathe. We had Patrick McEwen. We've had so many people talk about the importance of taping your mouth and breathing through your nose when you sleep for your sleep quality, which helps your recovery, which helps every aspect of your health and fitness. So, hostage tape If you want to get some of this to help you sleep better, and it also stays on your face if you're a bearded man, which is one of the big problems with mouth tape, head to hostagetape.com/power project. And there you can actually get the Power Project annual deal, which will give you a year's supply of hostage tape. 55 cents a day for tape, pretty much. And you'll be able to save $150 along with getting 2 tins, a year's supply of tape, and a blindfold. That is going to be something that you want to get your hands on. Links in the description along with the podcast show notes. Shut your f***ing mouth.
How about what is an acceptable excuse to where somebody can use to call in sick tomorrow? I'm thinking
listen to C.T. Fletcher and just hear "Don't be a bitch."
Yeah, right. Like ever him and Goggins all day long. No, I'm just thinking like remembering like trying to get out of like PE, so you have your mom write you an excuse or something. I don't know, something like that. And it was always like some bullshit that you weren't even actually like feeling. Yeah. But if somebody is feeling like an injury, like a 5 out of 10 or something, to where like, hey, like you should calm down right now.
You just did something today, dude. What was it? What happened?
Dude, I'm still figuring it out. So hopefully it doesn't
but you're
look weird on camera.
Yeah.
Because I'm going like this and it does look interesting on camera. No, I don't know what happened to like my adductor maybe or hamstring, something connected right here by the side of my knee. I don't know what I did. It was fine all day, and then we podcasted earlier and I was like, oh, something's painful right here. So I know for sure I'm going to smash the heck out of it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to cause some more pain that will hopefully alleviate the pain, but I'm not going to open mat in the morning. I'm not going to do hamstrings heavy. I might move them around tomorrow morning, but I'm going to definitely take it light for the next 2 days. And then when I hit the mats again, I'm not going to do the move that probably did it.
Exactly.
And can go from there. Yeah.
You're not going to stop.
But no, I'm not going to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think an excuse is that you need to pull back a bit, in order to advance forward, you need to pull back. You sometimes the best thing for you to do might be to just get some sunlight. When you work on your computer, maybe you sit on the floor, maybe you do both things at the same time that we see Nsima do a lot. Nsima will be in the gym and he'll be like on his laptop, but he'll be in a position that's advantageous to you staying mobile, right? And being able to get in and out of different positions. There's maybe you're on a powerlifting program and you've been training and something's weird with your back. You wake up, you can barely walk to the bathroom, and you're supposed to deadlift that day.
I hate that feeling.
Don't deadlift.
Dude, sometimes a day. So I've had these blisters on my feet over the last couple of weeks, and they came out of nowhere. I haven't had any blisters the entire time. And of course, the marathon's getting here, and it's just
bink
fuckery, right? I mean, it's just like, oh, here's a bunch of shit for you to like deal with, because the hills at 20 miles at the Boston Marathon aren't enough, for you to be stressed out about what's going on. So, but what a difference a day or two makes. I have scheduled like this run's supposed to happen this day. Fuck the run. I got blisters on my feet. What is running going to do? It's going to make my blisters worse. They're not going to get any better. So that planned deadlift session that you have no choice. You have to miss it. Is there some other way you can participate? Can you go and encourage the other guys that are lifting for the meet? Maybe you fucking hate that, and maybe you can't do that, and that's fine too. But could you watch some lifting? Could you watch and try to learn your own technique? And can you do some myofascial release? Could you maybe try to address it, try to hire somebody to do some manual therapy on the area to make it better? Could you stretch or exercise in some way to promote blood flow to the area? Could you put your feet up for better? I mean, there's cold plunge. Could you try to find a place in your area that has a cold plunge and has a sauna and has a hot tub or something like that? Now you're talking about, this is a really, really good quote unquote excuse to really reload and to give yourself a moment. If you give yourself 1 week, if your shoulder hurts from bench pressing, if your back hurts from deadlifting, you give yourself 1 week and you're a young, healthy person, dude, it's insane. It's absolutely insane how fucked up you can be in the course of like a 3-day span, and then boom, all of a sudden be totally fine out of nowhere. And you're like, holy shit, I think I'm good to go again. It's unbelievable.
And just to add on to that real quick, one thing that I think can help with all types of injury that you're dealing with is like Andrew mentioned, he's going to be smashing it and leaning into it. But as you're dealing with that injury, or let's say it's a lower back, or it's your knee or whatever, when you're doing stuff with it, try not to hold your breath, or try not when you're when you're moving through it, like moving with it, try not to hold your breath. Because one thing I've found, every time a little injury happens or something somewhere, when I start to, like say it's lower back, when I start to bend to pick something up, I'll stop breathing for a second as I bend. And then I'm like, whoa, breathe like you normally would. Because whenever I do that and I focus on my recovery, moving through everything while making sure I'm breathing through everything, shit just recovers much faster, partially because the breathing tells my brain it's okay. It's okay to chill the fuck out. Whereas when you're holding your breath and doing something, your brain is like, oh, fuck, this isn't good. Okay, guard the fuck out of this area. So just breathe if you can, please.
You end up inducing the pain because you're expecting it. Yeah.
And you just kind of brace yourself.
Story of my life. Yeah.
In this Jordan movie, the movie Air, the owner of Nike, he's different. You know, he built this multi-billion-dollar juggernaut of a company. And he is very zen and finds like Buddhist type stuff and has these quotes and stuff that he says all the time. And he talks to these guys about how they should breathe in this meeting that they have coming up. He's like, when you're breathing out, really concentrate on breathing out. Like, be with your breath. And they're kind of like looking at each other. And he goes, when you're breathing in, concentrate on the air coming in and just really try to relax. He's like, that's going to help put you in the moment.
Is that Ben Affleck's character?
Yeah. He nailed it. It's so, I mean, I don't know Phil Knight personally at all, and never really seen much on him, but he nailed this like CEO position of this guy, like trying to raise this like higher level. And as soon as he walks away, Matt Damon and the other guys, they look at each other like, what did he say, to breathe in while we're breathing out? They're like, they're just at a totally different stage in their life. They have no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah, man.
Sick.
See if we can play this clip from Jocko Willink. It reminds me a little bit of what we're talking about here.
Jocko.
It says in that manual, it says, other than death, all failure is psychological. Other than death, all failure is psychological. Think about that. Just think about that. This failure, this upset, this catastrophe. If you aren't dead, then it's just psychological. It's in your head. Now, this does not mean that you won't lose some battles, because you will. We all will.
I really like what he finished with. I think is the most important part, is that there's battles that you're going to lose. And I, made a video not too long ago just talking about how I'm here to play the long game. I don't care how long it takes me to get good at something or to get better at it. And even if you really, really stink at something, you're not good at it. You're poor at it. If you do it for 5 years, what does that look like? If you do it for 8 years, what does that look like? If you do it for 10, maybe you're still not amazing at it, but how much better are you now at that thing than you were when you started? And you're going to lose battles. Life's not always going to feel easy. I don't think you're supposed to be like happy and pumped 24/7. I think that's part of what makes being happy and excited so cool. And sometimes you're on your way to work and you're super happy and excited, and you go and you see other people and they're happy and excited. And you're like, today's fucking rocking. You go outside, the sun's out, like it's just beautiful day. And you're trying to figure out, how do I live my life in that zone all the time? It's just not meant to be. You're not supposed to be in that zone all the time. You're just supposed to get little glimpses of it. The sunny days wouldn't mean anything without some of the rain and some of the clouds. It's the way that it goes. It's the way that it be.
The peaks and valleys, right? You can't have the peaks without the valleys.
Those mighty peaks.
You need to have it all.
Peakers.
That's a good place to end it. Or you got something else?
I don't know.
I'm good there. What else do I have? Yep, that's all I got.
All right.
All right, Andrew.
Sorry, I forgot that my bad.
we got editing power.
What are you guys going to edit out?
I don't know.
Everything I said?
Just the whole podcast.
Just all your.
You guys know I don't watch it. So how many times have you guys deleted me from the entire show? Just a couple times.
Find us at MB Power Project.
I think just one time.
I know.
All right. Anyways,
Take us on out of here, Andrew.
You said that monkey thing, remember?
Oh, yeah.
dude, thankfully, this is all getting edited out, by the way. I went back, I edited it out, and then I watched it again, and you said it twice, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I went back twice. Yeah, me too.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Mark, if you can do it again, just take it.
Andrew, take us on out of here, buddy.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for checking out today's episode. Please drop those comments down below. Let us know what you guys think about this conversation. And hit that like button and subscribe. Follow the podcast at MB Power Project all over the place. My Instagram is at I'm Andrew Z. And Nsima, where you at?
Discord's down below, guys. And sorry, we haven't been on. I've been on there because I can't find my information, but we'll be back on there. So just join the Discord because I know it's popping. Nsima Inyang on Instagram, YouTube, Nsima Inyang on TikTok and Twitter. Mark.
When you get a new phone, it's over.
Oh yeah, that messes everything up.
Yeah.
Last thing I'll finish with is, try to find a group or a training partner. I did mention training partner briefly, but the tendency is if you get with a group like Andrew has been going to jiu-jitsu, and when you have those people, that it makes you accountable.
Oh yeah.
And, find some accountability partners that you can kind of figure out how to keep yourself motivated with, whether it's for a bike ride or a run or whatever the hell it is you're trying to get better at. It will help tremendously. I've been lifting with Kenny Williams, and it's been amazing. For running, I don't really love to run with other people as much. It kind of throws me off a bit. They got their pace going. I got my pace going. I'd rather zone out and listen to music and things like that. But for lifting, I found it really motivational and something that helps drive me.
Yeah, and see if you can give something back to the group, right? Like, especially early on with jiu-jitsu, I couldn't really do much, but I'm like, hey, do you guys want to go lift?
Oh yeah, when your feet got all jacked up too, right?
Dude,
but you
feet
still
got
went to
wrecked.
practice, right?
Yeah, so I was like, whenever I've been out, the feet thing was different because I couldn't even walk. But when I've been out, I still show up. But like this weekend, we got in because one of my guys he's actually competing in 2 weeks, so he wants to stay connected. So we ended up getting mats inside my garage.
Oh, sick.
So we did giant sets of a superset of a push-pull plus rounds on the mats.
What?
And we just had a round.
That had to kill.
Dude, it sucked. It was tough, but falling apart back here. But that's something that I could give back to them. So those 3 guys, they were all way better at jiu-jitsu than me. But just because
I can't imagine what that would feel like. That's got to be tough.
It was cool. It wasn't too bad. Because the lifting part was actually the break. And so again, like I said, I set up a push, I set up a pull, and then drills on the mat. So it was dope. So I could give back, experience and knowledge on the lifting side, and then I received tons of experience and knowledge on the mats. And so when you get it with the group, think about what you can provide, and then that will help solidify the crew. You become a part of it.
I'm at Mark Smelly Bell. Strength is never weakness. Weakness never strength. Catch you guys later. Bye.